great. We're on, and we're on. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you, and welcome everybody on, where are we, Facebook?
And YouTube and Learn It Live.
And YouTube and Learn It Live.
Wow.
I am Laura Boone, and this is Ashley.
I don't know if I'm
Ashley Marie Adams. Ashley is my astrology sister. She does readings of all kinds. She does straight up astrology, but she also has studied a lot with Stephen Forrest and does evolutionary astrology, which is really, really cool, and that's a whole other class into itself to understand the intricacies of that. It's about the nodes. I would call myself an intuitive astrologer. I have studied, but I'm a little more freeform than some others, but I have been doing this for many years. I see some usual faces and some new faces, so I'm so glad to have all of you here. I have had, so tonight, before I tell you why this stuff's here, tonight we have got so much going on in the first of this year, and I don't know how many of you listened to my talk after Jamie's channeling, which was actually on Learn It Live as well and Facebook. I kind of went through the highlights of the year, and remember I said it was like a, I don't know, fireworks display when it comes to transits the first quarter of the first 3 months of this year. It has been really, we'll just call it dynamic. I'm a positive person. It's been very dynamic. And I, being a Capricorn, for those of you who know, are you? Oh, you are too?
Oh no.
Sisters unite.
Hey,
Y'all.
I'm a Capricorn too. What happened?
Well, that's the how to be right there. She's just gonna cruise right through it. No, it's all good. It depends on what's your birthday?
January 4th.
Okay, your birthday.
20th.
Okay, and your birthday.
December 30th.
The 20th of December and December 30th. Okay, so
I'm the
you.
20th of January.
Oh, so you're.
I'm on the cusp. Yeah.
Okay.
I got that Aquarius.
So it's on right. I'm the 19th.
All right. Oh, we're the same. Okay.
So it's on right now. Literally, we're talking about Saturn is literally right on top of our suns. It has gone over recently your suns. So it's just been a lot of let's get it organized. Let's start delaying gratification. Let's have more discipline in our lives. Let's plan for the future. Let's look back at the past and see what we did wrong and what is no longer working with us anymore. So it's getting rid of people, things, and behaviors that no longer serve you, and adopting new ones and a plan and putting discipline in place to reach the goals that you want in the future and the dreams that you want in the future. So that's what everyone is up to right now with Saturn in Capricorn, and has been for a while, but especially for Capricorns. The other signs that it affects everybody, but the other signs that I believe it really is a kick in the pants, the Saturn in Capricorn, are the other cardinal signs, which are Aries, Libra, and Cancer. So if you are one of those signs, you've had this transit squaring you. So you've also had kind of a lovely kick in the pants from God, or all she or all that is. It all feels like the same boot in your butt, no matter what you call it, to get your priorities aligned. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's not to torture us. A lot of people get real, I don't know, oh, Saturn, it's actually, it helps us. They really want you to get your desires met. They really want you to be happy. They really want you to grow. They really want you to evolve. So this is another angle for them to push us into action. Okay, so that being said, and there's a lot to talk about because Saturn's doing some stuff this month. So we're going to talk about, there's enough going on in March that we could talk for days. But we're going to just hit some highlights in March. And I'm going to get to the bowls. This is where my transition. So how many of you know what transits are, are versed enough in astrology to understand what a transit is? Kind of. So yeah, so the whole point that what a transit is, the theory of astrology is when we were born, it's a moment we came into the 3 dimension, and that moment in time and space where we were born, the time we were born, is a sacred, almost a fingerprint. So if you took a picture of the sky, just as your mother had you, and that pinpoint in time and space is unique to you, that is your birth chart. So if that was a birth chart, so it's a picture of the sky.
I'm pulling up, so yeah.
And all of the green symbols around it are exactly where all the planets are in the sky at the time, right now. So they're constantly moving, and we can measure this with math. So I promise you, I'm going to get to how this is applicable to your life, but I think it's just important to understand the theory behind this is that we are a part of nature, and where the universe is and the solar system is all a part. It creates seasons, it creates tides, it creates all kinds of gravitational fields. We are all made of the same stuff, and these cycles within nature affect us. Would you not agree? The winter affects us, the equinox, I mean, all these things affect us. So transits are understanding where everything is in the sky and how that may affect us individually. And what I believe transits really are, the layer below that, is the opportunities that we're being given to improve, enhance, change, or add to certain areas of our personalities or our lives. It's like gifts of consciousness or opportunities that we're being given every single day. So if we're able to observe that or bring that transit or that opportunity into our consciousness, we're much better able to take advantage of it and make it into a positive addition or a positive change, rather than being at its mercy because we're unconscious. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So why the bowls are here tonight, and Danielle is actually a professional sound practitioner, so no pressure on me. I just wanted to, I'm just gonna play a few of these because these are crystal bowls that have a note assigned to each of them. And I'm also gonna play a few of these in chords, but each note corresponds to a chakra. So, and then the chakras correspond to signs and planets. So if there's a transit happening, what I've done tonight is I've picked some of the transits, and I have gotten the bowls that correspond with those chakra notes with the transits. So I'm gonna kind of say, and is anybody interested in just knowing what those are? I can reel them off, because I have always wanted to do this, but I've never really looked at it, and it is all, I didn't make any of this up, it's all just out there. So the root chakra is Capricorn and Aquarius, and it's ruled by Saturn. So we're all being invited right now to work on our root chakra through the Saturn energy, which is what I was saying. It's about making it's about quit your dreaming and your planning and your wondering. It's about taking action. How do we bring this, manifest this into the concrete world? That's Saturn. Okay, what kind of work do we need to do to take action to manifest something in our lives? So that's root chakra. Sacral chakra is ruled by Sagittarius and Pisces, Jupiter. Solar plexus is ruled by Mars, which is Scorpio and Aries. Throat chakra is ruled by Mercury, which is Virgo and Gemini. Third eye chakra, traditionally, is the sun and the moon, and that is Leo and Cancer. Your crown chakra.
Wait, can you back up?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I was trying so.
Am I going fast?
Yeah.
I'm going as slow as you guys
So
need.
solar was Mars, Scorpio, and Aries, and then what was the heart one?
Heart is Venus,
Okay.
and that is Taurus and Libra. So when I give you these planets, these are the signs that are ruled by that planet. Now, some of you who know about astrology, there is a lot of tradition, and I think it's really amazing if you start to read about signs and planets and what parts of the body they rule. And this really does not have anything to do with that. Like when I started reading this, I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I know. It's chakras are separate than what body parts are assigned. So F is, I'm sorry, this is, F, which is the heart. A, which is the third eye.
What was
Gosh,
the
I
plan?
love the rain. Huh?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the third one though? Because I only got that far.
Not at all.
Traveling. So throat is Mercury.
Throat is Mercury, and that's Virgo and Gemini.
Okay.
And then
Third eye.
third eye is the sun and the moon,
Okay.
and that's Leo and Cancer.
Okay.
The sun rules Leo, the moon rules Cancer. The crown, the theory behind this, when I researched it, is that there is nothing assigned to the crown. The crown is your telephone line to the other dimensions.
Okay.
So this is just the opening, is the way they view it when it comes to astrology. So I chose today the F, which is the heart, which is Taurus and Libra, the A, which is Leo and Cancer, the C, which is Capricorn and Aquarius, and Ashley will understand why. This is a big one for what's getting ready to happen. There's a lot going on, which we're both going to get into. The dark purple is the throat chakra, which is Virgo and Gemini, and the F is Scorpio and Aries. So the heart chakra and the root chakra, these are very much corresponding to transits that are happening right now. The other three bowls make two chords with that. Okay, so it's going to activate more chakras, but they align with these. And just to sort of bring it all back, there's a lot going on with Venus and Saturn, which is root. There's a lot going on with heart. There's a lot going on, and I think these bowls will address it. So what I want to do is have all of us sort of connect with intentions around these topics. And if you will, we're all here to talk about astrology, so all of you have that much interest in the fact that what I'm going to do as I play this, and what my intention is set for you guys tonight, is that you guys become open energetically to these transits that are happening right now, so that you can allow this work to happen. Because if you just allow this stuff, it's not even about being conscious. I mean, there's a deep healing that can happen with transits if we become conscious of them and then ask to have them allowed. So I'm not even going to go into the transits at this point, but if you can just understand that to set the intention of letting these bowls, the signature resonances of these bowls help connect and invite the energy of these transits. Is everybody good with that? So I'm going to play for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll get into transits. Good? All right. Is everybody comfy? And so just, get in a comfortable place. I don't care if you lay down. I don't care if you sit up. It's just going to be 5 to 10 minutes, and you can just do whatever you need to do to be comfy.
I'm pulling up right now a chart today, which is actually would be the current transits, but it's actually just in a natal chart form right now. But these are the transits that are happening right now.
I'm so excited to do astrology bowls. I believe in this.
When you mentioned it, I was like, what? Yes. Yes, that makes so much sense.
It's like, why not? gonna let everybody get comfy. Okay, are we ready? All right, so I would just like, I'm gonna just kind of say a little prayer. If everybody could close their eyes, and the dog will settle down. She knows about bowls. Okay, God, Goddess, all that is, we thank you for this beautiful creation that you have made, and we thank you for giving us the honor of being in the 3-dimension space as a beautiful jewel in the part of your creation. We thank you for the growth opportunities that are afforded to us every single day with nature, through animals, and through our beautiful environment and this beautiful world that we live in. Tonight we want to ask that we would like to ask that we receive the benefits, blessings, knowledge, and healing that the celestial realm can offer us through astrology and through the transits. We ask for this healing for ourselves. slowly whenever you feel ready to come out of it. I'll try to whisper it first. Yay. Is everybody good? I know it's like in a different place now, right?
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. How do I feel? I feel very honored to be able to share the healing, or be a conduit for the healing that is in the universe. That's all I ask, is I just say that I'm willing.
And Sunny is too.
Awesome. So we want to get started? Did everybody bring charts tonight? If you didn't, it's okay. But let's, I guess, dive right in. The first transit that I wanted to talk about tonight was Venus squaring Saturn. And I'm going to let Ashley talk about some of these too. Venus squaring Saturn, that happened on March 3rd. And then, because Saturn's so late in Capricorn right now, it actually moves, four. It moves into Taurus on the 6th. And I'm going to let Ashley take that. But the first thing I'll talk about Venus and Saturn, and you talk about Venus and Taurus.
Yeah.
Ashley?
And so I'm trying to show you.
Yeah, show them
There's
what.
like a delay on this for some reason. So your Venus is. I'm just gonna do this because there's like a delay. This is Venus up here, little circle with the square right there, and this is Saturn. So Venus is at 29 Aries right now, and Saturn's at 28 Capricorn. So that's almost an exact square.
So what does that? Oh,
Well, what I was gonna say about transits is that you have when a transit is applying, it's when it's approaching and then when it's separating. So there's two different energies that when the planets start to apply to each other, and then they go exact, and then they separate. So the energy is going to be it's a buildup, and as it begins to apply, that exact is going to be when you're really in it, obviously. And then as it starts to separate, you can still feel it. A lot of it is, how would you say that? Like it's
so how this is applicable with what she's saying is, before March 3rd, you could have felt for a week or two, or even maybe a little bit more, especially or a square of Capricorn, Aries, I'm going to say it again, Aries, Libra, and Cancer. But everyone's affected by this. There could be tension in a relationship. Venus and Saturn are getting ready to square. So remember what I said about Saturn at the beginning. It's about getting your house, getting things in order. What have you been putting off that you haven't wanted to do when it comes to your relationship? The other thing Venus partly rules is money. So it could have to do with spending. It could have to do with spending on remodeling or beautiful things, or things that aren't necessarily a necessity. So have you been overspending? Do you need to rein your budget back in? Or have you not wanted to really get with your partner and say things have got to change? And you keep putting it off. So those are just two examples of this energy when it starts to come together. So, and it's happening, it happened on the 3rd. So now we're in the separation. So does anybody feel like this transit's happening in their life? Like kind of, you can know where it applies? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you want to talk, can you tell me I love hearing examples of this, because sometimes it's more powerful than anything.
Yeah.
It's more teaching. Come here, honey. Sorry.
Venus squaring Saturn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
In,
mean,
in Capricorn.
in Capricorn, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Aries is Capricorn. Thank you.
Well, I have two different things. Yeah, recently, like my dream business partner came into my life, and then there was just a lot of expectation and tension, and she's definitely like way more ahead in her career than I am, and so it was more of like a support role. And around this time, we just kind of decided to separate. And on the exact same day, I'm just in a period of healing relationships in general. I'm a Gemini, and that's like part of my journey.
What is your sign?
May 29th, Gemini.
Okay.
And then on March 3rd, wait, what's today?
The 4th.
So yesterday. Okay. It was on Sunday. I just had another relationship conflict come up. Just someone came to one of my events and just kind of like sat out the whole time, and they had some like trauma come up, and I asked her about it, and she just said, I just didn't feel safe at the event. I just needed more of and it just, the conversation then spiraled into more. It wasn't even that happened. It was more of like how I handled it. I know we're going through like a retrograde too, but I just didn't communicate very well around it, so it caused a huge thing, and I'm still trying to figure out.
So you felt tension build, and then can we just add the flavoring to all this on top of it? Is that Mercury's in retrograde in Pisces? so which means the flavor is emotional confusion. Emotional confusion when it comes to relationships or communication, rain, flooding. I can't make this stuff up. Just turning up the volume on everything. So Venus and Saturn squaring in Aries and Capricorn is you already got some powder keg, and then add drama and emotion and and sensitivity. Mercury retrograde Pisces is everybody's a little more sensitive than normal, especially
A little cloudy headed too. It's
confusing.
more of the communication is, it's more emotional, and it's highly sensitive, and
Yeah, just to talk a little bit about Mercury and Pisces retrograde. Danielle, I hope you don't mind. I'll use you as an example. Danielle, who is a Pisces, so my God, this is a big old volume turned up on her with Mercury and Pisces retrograde. So
I just like connected all of that with the
Is your
emotional
Mercury in
confusion.
Pisces too, Danielle?
it may be.
I don't know.
It would be
This chart
close if it's
isn't-
not.
It's not yours?
I mean, it's my birth chart, but not for today.
But what?
No, your birth chart.
So what?
You gave me
But
last
what Danielle was talking about, which I thought was really a useful thing to teach or understand, is, she was having a meeting, and she could feel like things that were being said. She was just feeling triggered and overwhelmed and emotional, and had the wherewithal to go, you know what? Like I'm confused, and I feel emotional, and we're talking about business things. And I think I need to remove myself and go, it wasn't like anything horrible was happening or anything like that. She just said, ooh, she started feeling it, the confusion, and she got out of it and said, let's revisit this. Exact right thing to do. And then you're going on a trip, and she's going to revisit it after Mercury's going out of retrograde. Exactly. Everybody needs to so that's good advice for anybody right now. Just if you start feeling short and emotional and just like, it's almost like we're all women here, PMS. Literally, it's like Mercury in retrograde, it's like PMS. Like you're confused, you don't know why you're so emotional, but you just are. So it's back up from it.
And this Mercury is actually dipping between, it's going back into Aquarius too. It just went back into Aquarius today actually. And so it's been in Pisces, dipping back into Aquarius, and then coming back to Pisces. So there's a lot of Mercury in Pisces this month. Yeah.
My Mercury is in Capricorn.
Mine is too. So I don't know where yours is around your sun. Well, yeah, you're with me. You're
Right,
with me.
yeah, yeah.
So that means it's, I don't know how to say this, to the right of your sun.
Yeah.
And on your chart.
Yeah,
So-
it is. It's down. Yeah.
So you've got, so actually Saturn is at 28 degrees today and it's right on top of your Mercury.
Yeah.
So what you need to be careful of is being too critical or judgmental with your words to people
Okay.
and also to yourself. What's your self-talk like right now?
Right.
Like really just think, is it kind?
Oh no.
Is it compassionate?
Yeah. Like it tries to be. You know what I'm saying? I can see where whenever I go in hard and then I'll say, okay, but boo, come on now. Are you really doing that to yourself? But yeah.
And
yeah,
if
everything
anybody's
has been-
around you going, are you okay? Because you just seem like you're pissed off. And you're like, what? I'm not pissed. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you just seem a little, I know I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, that's Saturn, you know, why aren't you doing what you need to be doing right now?
Yeah.
Saturn on your Mercury.
Yeah.
Now, what I like to, I don't think anything's negative. I think it can be challenging.
Mhm.
And one way to, you know, these energies are challenging, and one way to transform them, which is what I think, why this is helpful, is to really think about what's the benefit of that kind of energy, of Saturn and Mercury. So the benefit is, how can I be very careful and deliberate about everything I say? How can I be more mindful? That's Saturn on Mercury. Like, I'm very careful and responsible and have discipline about what I say to others. So if you can just kind of think that, then it kind of helps the other go away. Mercury and Pisces, how can that be a positive thing? Mercury and Pisces can be very much, depending on who you are and what your sign is, how can I speak with emotional authenticity? How can I express myself emotionally? Maybe it's artistically. I don't know, but do I not express myself emotionally? Like, you could be somebody who has a hard time. So Mercury and Pisces could be that. Mercury and Aquarius. I mean, you can weigh in, Ashley. I think that's a very mental, airy
It's
moment. So
it's
it
a
could be
talker.
talker,
It's a
chatty.
talker. It wants to communicate. Yeah.
Mercury and Aquarius would be a moment where you need to keep your diary by your bed. You need to keep the pad in the car because you might be having a lot of ideas that you need to. So maybe it's not blurting them out to everybody, like, blah, 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 blah. You might be in conversation, which is in the Mercury zone, and it's Mercury and Aquarius, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, what about this? What about this? Oh my gosh, when you just said that, it made me think of this. That's like a Mercury and Aquarius. So it could be a little frenetic.
Definitely
Electric. And that's happened today.
Yeah, it dipped back in today.
Dipped
It's
back.
at 29.41. Yeah.
So do you see it's like going backwards and then we'll start going forward. So I'm going to skip Venus and Taurus and I'll let Ashley talk about that in a minute. I want to say on this theme of Mercury and Pisces, while that's happening, the Sun is going conjunct Neptune on March 8th. So Neptune rules Pisces, you guys. So, and water and fire. So Neptune and the Sun, I'm not going to say they're not good together, but they are not natural friends, if you will. It creates steam, fog. It makes things less clear. It makes, it can make you feel foggy. It can make you rose-colored glasses. It can make you feel honestly druggy, kind of high. It can make you want to get high. It can make you want to drink, escape. All these sorts of things. There could be. You could think about this for a second. You could find yourself not being very honest. What did I just say? I just lied about what I had for dinner. What's that about? Neptune can be just about deception, and you're not even thinking about it. It's like you get in this zone, sort of trance-like state. Neptune's almost like a pink fog machine trance-like state. So again, this is just a challenge. How do we make this to our benefit? How can we become conscious of these energies and make them work for us? So it's an amazing time for creativity. It's an amazing time for artistic expression. Because, you know, art and creativity is expressing things that can't be expressed directly. So that's Neptune world. It's a great time to listen to music. It's a
Deeply spiritual.
meditation. The journeying through, she's so right. Neptune is one of the god planets. It's like, can you journey with Neptune internally or with fantasy? Going to theater, coming up with creative ideas. One thing about Neptune on your sun that is sort of similar to the Mercury in Pisces right now, so much emotion. Ugh. You know, just it feels like your pot's boiling over when Neptune's on the sun, especially if you're a Pisces. So just, you water people, it's just, it could be a lot. And so rest a lot, be kind to yourself, try not to medicate on whatever it is you medicate on, overdo.
When is this period in time?
What was the exact date of
It's March 8th.
March 8th. And another
Do
thing
you
with
know how long it's, or you go ahead.
With another thing with Sun Mercury is boundaries too. A lot of boundaries people may
Sun
infringe.
Neptune, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sun Neptune. Yeah, people may try to infringe on your boundaries or vice versa. So just be conscious of boundaries.
People can lie to you. You could have lies around you. If you have your radar up with that kind of thing going on, it could be, yeah, you could be right.
And it's a quick transit because though Neptune is a very slow-moving planet, the Sun moves quickly. So it's applying right now. It's at 14, 18, and then it'll go exact, and then it'll separate so it'll just be a few days, really.
So the day after that is full moon in Virgo, the 9th, March 9th. So do you see how it's just everything sort of building up? And, you know, full moon in Virgo, that's so much to me about self-care, health. What would you say about how that relates to the Sun and Neptune?
The full moon in Virgo, you know, I think it could be that you can add some service in with that too, with Virgo. You know, it could be very nurturing too, and
that's actually full moon in Virgo could be with all this stuff. You stop and you go, who is having a hard time with this right now? Like, stop, get out, because that's the other thing, you get in your fog machine and all your emotions. Full moon in Virgo says, stop, look around, think outside yourself. Does somebody need a hug right now? Does somebody need some nurturing? Does somebody need somebody to help them with all this emotional
and it's
over?
earth, so it's nice because it's grounding with all this water.
Gives it a place to
More
rest.
logical. Logical, so we can kind of balance out that dreaminess.
Virgo is logical, but unlike Capricorn and Taurus, Virgo can be it's mutable, so it can just be a witness and, can I help you? You know, rather than, get your shit, Capricorn, get your shit together. Come on. Quit the tears. Taurus, probably the same. But speaking of Taurus, so I mean, literally, we've gotten to the 9th of March. Is that resonating?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in March, which is why I just wanted to keep to this month because we've got plenty to talk about. You want to back up, and because I was kind of talking about all the water, and talk about Venus moving in Taurus March 6th is a relief. You know, Venus has been squaring in Aries, squaring Saturn. So then we get some harmony with Venus moving into its friend Taurus.
Venus is in its dignity in Taurus, so it's the natural ruler of Taurus. Venus naturally rules Taurus and Libra. So as it goes in, it's going to be in a conjunction with Uranus, which is going to feel a little, it could be like really heightened creativity too, as well. But it's going to start to separate from that, I think, probably like around the 10th.
10th, 11th, something like that. And so we're going to be riding out Venus in Taurus for the rest of the month, which is going to be beautiful. It's a really sweet spot for Venus, and we need to enjoy it, because when Venus goes into its other dignity later in the year in Libra, it's not going to be so sweet, because it's going to be opposing Mars, retrograde Mars.
So you're going to be robbed of it a little. So this month, starting on the 6th, well, and with that Uranus, so 7th or 8th with Venus, and through the end of the month. What
Through
a beautiful,
April 4th, yeah.
yay. So great time for renovations. Renovating yourself, your body, renovating your closet, renovating your makeup, your hair, renovating your home, all Venusian things, you know, doing extra things, lighting a candle, buying yourself flowers, buying yourself someone else's flower. And there it is, you know, the spending money, maybe you don't have, whatever. You know, I'm just going to get these flowers, you know, I just want to get this. It's just anything like that that's painting your home a new color. And I know, you know, Venus stuff, people say, well, that's kind of shallow to talk about that. Venus teaches us that things like that have energy. It's about the extra in life. That extra, you know, Venus leaves everything a little bit more beautiful and a little bit more organized and a little bit more harmonious than it found it. So this month is a lovely time to
And
dig
it's,
into all
and
that.
it's, I would say this, you know, a Taurian Venus is go out and get out in nature too.
Mm-hmm.
Get out in nature and go connect with nature. Hopefully this rain's gonna lighten up, but when you have those opportunities, go celebrate Venus outside.
Plant, do yard work, plant your seeds. So just energy's beautiful energy for that. March 10th, Mercury goes direct in Pisces. Yeah. And then how long is it in Pisces?
Let's see, hold on.
So that's gonna feel like just you know, have a good cry. It almost, you know what it's gonna feel like? It's gonna, you know, when there's a huge thunderstorm and those negative ions, it clears out and you're just like, oh.
It's still in Pisces though. It's still in its fall, but it's gonna be direct, so it's gonna feel better.
I just think it'll feel, it's all that emotion just still vibrating, and you're like, okay, I've been relieved a little bit from all this.
It's gonna feel better.
Alright, the 19th is the equinox.
Can I just say thank you for basically sharing my emotional roller coaster, this like trip that I'm about to go on?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I go to Costa Rica on a retreat too, and I was like, and I'm gonna be in Venus. I'm like, more plantains for me.
And Venus and Taurus, which is really good for the Earth people, because it's trining the Earth people, so we're extra.
Yeah. So Mercury will be in Pisces until April 12th. Yeah, until April 12th. So that's a
See, you can say it is in its detriment. So that means it's not its most favorite sign, Mercury in Pisces. But I'm an emotional person. I'm like an empath. Like Mercury in Pisces is just like permission, especially when it's going direct, to just write everything in my journal, you know, really talk to people, get it out in a safe space. So the equinox
You said March 19th?
is March 19th. What is going on March 19th with the planets?
Well,
Is that
it's
when-
coming up right after we've got the sun will go into Aries, and then we'll have the new moon in Aries as well. So there's going to be a lot of energy around that equinox.
So there you go. So it's really almost using this equinox, because if you think about it in relationship, so the equinox is March 19th, and then the 21st, the sun goes into Aries, and Saturn moves from Capricorn into Aquarius. That's a big day. And then on the 24th, there's a new moon in Aries. So there's a lot of forward motion and new energy and new projects and new ideas and new, there's been a lot with Neptune and Pisces, just all of this kind of getting with yourself and letting your emotions kind of cover you and things like that. And then it's like spring equinox, time to get up and get out and get going. Like time to get moving.
Action.
Yeah, action. Time to get moving. So it's all really good. The new moon in Aries, after that full moon in Virgo, I mean, do you see it? It's like now's the time to really self-care, sort your emotions, get your emotions out, kind of look inward, clean things up, try to figure out where you don't have clarity. Because when Aries hits, I mean, Aries isn't even necessarily about clarity. Aries is about moving, doing things. It's body, moving. So, yeah, there's so the equinox is really the prayer meditation for March 19th on that spring equinox. And I love all the things that people do for the equinoxes. But I would really take advantage of the fact, it's not, spring equinox is so lovely about things waking back up and things, that mystical, magical energy of new birth. And what I love about, I don't know the history, but I almost guarantee, right, that Aries is there for a reason, right?
Yeah, it's birth.
Yeah, because Aries is the birth sign. Aries is new beginnings. It's the beginning of the wheel. It's the beginning of the horoscope wheel. So it's just a big time to say, I'm ready to let new life come into me and into the world. And I celebrate that. I celebrate new beginnings. I celebrate that if I took a breath this morning, I can start something new. I can celebrate that maybe I've been dormant and there are parts of me that can wake up now.
And as we approach that equinox and that fire charge, again, just like tending to yourself, to your emotions, to your creativity, I really feel super strongly about like any sunny days that you have, go outside. Really connect with that Venus and Taurus.
And the sun in Aries.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sun is exalted in Aries. It's yummy. So being outside, like she just said, getting the sun on your skin and being in nature with Venus and Taurus, appreciating the beauty. Just being out in your yard, you guys, or if you don't have a yard, go buy some pots and plant some things and put them in a sunny spot in your house, and you're just aligning right with that energy. And I know it seems kind of simple, but it's really powerful energy that you're honoring by doing tasks like that. It's like 8:07. I wanted to ask, does anybody want to talk about how this is like any of these things that they can say, oh my gosh, I know I've been feeling that, or that's affected me? Like as I've been talking, yeah.
Definitely feeling that emotional confusion. It's like I have a house guest right now, and we used to date, and then like we didn't date for a year, now he's in my place until the end of this month, and then it's like, this is awesome, and then, oh my god, this is horrible, who are you? And then it's like, oh my gosh, but that's so sweet, I get breakfast and coffee every morning, and then it's like, oh my god, like, what? It's very, it has been really confusing, and something like, no, we're not supposed to be together. Oh yeah, actually, like, I know why I really like enjoyed our time together. Maybe, and then it's like nope, and it's like yes, and then it's like no.
I would not. Piece of advice: with Mercury and Pisces, Neptune in the Sun, your feelings are not facts. And I love that saying. I don't believe it all the time. I think your feelings can be huge, amazing indicators. Right now, it's not the time to really look at your feelings and go, what is this telling me right now? Because there's so much.
I make a lot of decisions.
Especially as a Pisces. So you're being batted around like you're a pinball, and somebody's flipper. Ding, ding.
I also, it's almost like too energetically, I don't have energy. I've been sleeping a lot. And I'm really frustrated with that because then I feel like I can't make decisions, I can't do any of these things, I'm not getting enough done because I don't wanna let my body rest, but I know my body needs to rest, and so then I let my body rest, but then I wake up frustrated that I had for like a month and a half, my body has just been in this state of just wanting to rest. And in some cases I understand why, but I'm also like, okay, it's time to move on. I don't know. That's my internal dialogue about
So
it.
Neptune's going over air. Wait, what is Neptune in right now?
Neptune's in Pisces. What degree is your sun, Danielle?
21.
Okay, so Neptune is close to your sun. It's at 18. Yeah.
So, you know when I talk about, and I've said this, the outer planets, I mean, I personally, they're the big, major, longer planets. When I say longer, they move slower, so they're in signs longer, and they have a lot more of a major effect. I call them generational planets because they can affect whole generations. I also call them tsunami planets. And you know, you've heard me say that. Like, tsunami planets it's just a little term I use. When a tsunami's coming, or when you're dealing with an energy that is bigger than you, that you cannot stop, you have to work with it. And so there are different energies. Uranus is one, Pluto's one. Neptune is literally like a tsunami of emotions. So how do you withstand, almost sounds negative, how do you ride, I say like ride it like a surfboard rather than having it plow you under, like how do you work with that energy? So say, please be non-judgmental. Can you imagine how tired you must be? If Neptune's going over your sun and it's going to be there for a minute, it's going to take a minute. Like that is a deluge of emotions. You know, your sun represents, in all of our charts, our sun is our mode of living. It's like how we get up every day and physically go about our lives.
Vitality.
Great word. Sun represents vitality. So here you are with your sun in Pisces, your vitality, and Neptune is, that wave is going.
Okay.
So it's a really good time to say, I'm willing, this doesn't happen to us just to make things hard for us. It actually is helping. It has gifts in it too. So say, okay, this means I'm gonna be tired. This means I might not have clarity in some areas of my life, but I can be creative. This is when I get inspired. This is when I have a million ideas. This is when I can really get centered, heal. Neptune's a healer. You're doing healing work. Like keep doing your work that you're doing and say, I'm only gonna do what I can. And this is the most important priority right now with this transit in your life is not, how much you can check off every day on a list.
And your spiritual health too. Neptune is it's spirituality and meditation and, kind of coming back to that, to source, essentially.
Meditate, play your bowls, create, dream. Neptune rules dreams. Here's the other thing. Neptune on your sun, what are you dreaming about at night? It's literally you're wide open. You're wide open to dreams. You're wide open to messages. You're wide open to a lot of information. Like a theater production every night would be Neptune on your sun. Do you know what I'm saying? Did you have a question?
No,
Raising your hand.
I was just saying sometimes because it's so feminine, it's like you're actually doing work by actually like attracting and receiving with Neptune versus like doing.
Very much so. That's a great point. That's a great point. And see how your sun is, how do you do things? How do you do your life? What's your mode of living? How do you get up? What does it look like? When you live, what you do every day. So there you go. It's like you gotta stop and maybe, like you said, be and connect. I know, right? She's like, oh.
I don't know how to do that.
And isn't her sun at the top? Is your sun at the top of? Do you have a chart? It's at her midheaven.
I think she's a 4th house sun, isn't she?
Oh, okay.
If I remember
I know she has a lot of her midheaven.
It's not
Yeah,
the fifth
focus
house.
on
I
it.
remember that.
You are. She is.
No,
She's
it's
a 9th
not.
house. Yeah, she's a 9th house sun. And so your 9th house sun. So this is, this is all 9th house. So this is 9th house can be philosophy, learning, travel, religion, so spirituality. Yeah. I mean, I keep going back to that for you with this Neptune because it's applying. Neptune's at 18, so it's applying right now, and you're going to be feeling that for a while because your sun's at 21, so you're going to be in this for a while.
It could open you up spiritually.
Yeah.
It can really open you up, like in terms of your vision, and also feeling how can your work become more global. What's the dream around that? How can you spiritually affect more people globally?
It's on your midheaven too, so there is going to. I feel like there's a work link to this, but it's how you tend to your spirituality through this is going to directly affect your work and your ability to give back too as well.
I would meditate every day during this. Like work on your practice of meditation. Or
Do you like plan to work while you're on your retreat?
Yeah.
Oh my God, y'all, this is bad. Like we might have to have an intervention. You're gonna work on this retreat when she just said the thing. I'm sorry, we're personal friends, so now I'm like just like being the friend that's getting into her stuff
Thanks,
because yeah.
So,
oh yeah, I'm supposed to be nice people. And not talk.
Danielle, it's going over your midheaven. So it actually is connected to your work. So you can look at it and say, how can I be productive right now? It's about connecting with your spiritual self, and that will help inform your work.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That feels good.
It's not about not being productive. It's going over your midheaven. So it's like, how do you work when it comes to these issues? And the gifts are all coming spiritually and about healing. You could go and receive healing on this trip that you're like, oh my God, I'm supposed to take this back. And oh my God, I know what this feels like now, and I just received this. Oh my gosh, now I know what to do. And that's not, oh my God, I checked the box and I got that figured out. It's a discovery thing. Yes.
I had two thoughts for you. First of all, with Mercury retrograde, I've come to expect old people to come back into my life.
Yes.
So,
definitely.
Yes.
and it happens a couple times a year. So when you were
Yes.
talking about the ex back on the scene, I kind of have tried to start welcoming it and be like, oh, there it is. There's the one for this, And Neptune, and this is Pisces to Pisces, I feel like Neptune also rules anxiety. And I feel like there's so much anxiety in the collective right now.
Yes.
For
And lack of
sensitive-
clarity.
Lots.
sensitive people like all of us are feeling it so much more, and I felt really tired too. Like I could sleep for days, and I feel like that you can't discount the Neptune factor, our ruling planet, and also so prominent in the chart for right now. I think we gotta go to bed.
Just rest. Just rest.
Well, I'm very empathic, as some of you know, and oh my gosh, do you hear her voice? And her energy? She's literally like channeling Neptune.
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. Yeah.
No, and that's what
My-
Pisces, it's your
My
ruling
Mercury is in
planet.
Pisces as well.
Yeah.
I have a lot
Mine
of
is
she's
I'm a Pisces sun, Mercury as well.
that's the other thing to really think about. It rules your sun, like Pisces. Neptune rules Pisces. So this is your ruler. I love. She's just like, I'm the Neptune goddess.
Right.
I was
Follow
totally
me on
mesmerized.
Twitter. It's Emily Neptune.
Are you really?
Yes.
Are you writing that on there?
I'm barely on Twitter, but
Oh,
Neptune is her name, Twitter handle. Well, I was watching and I was like, excuse me, you need to give us a lecture about Neptune.
Yeah.
No, your voice and your energy and the she's not, let me talk about myself. She's like, Danielle, let me help you. It's very Pisces, soft, rest, feminine. She said feminine. It's a very feminine, nurturing. See, we haven't really said that enough about Neptune. It's the feminine. So what does the feminine do? The feminine doesn't judge tiredness. The feminine goes, you need to sleep. Let's make your bed feel really yummy. Take a break. It's mother energy. It's feminine energy. It's the great creator, goddess energy. And that's your energy. That's Pisces. She's whatever her Twitter handle is Neptune. She's totally embraced it. Yeah, totally embraced it. Thank you for that. You can't, that's why I ask for people to please give examples, because I know what it is theoretically, but until you hear somebody really express the energy and how it's happening in their life, then you really feel it and get it. That's how you learn about these things. So thank you.
What is your
Scorpio.
Water, lovely.
I have a grand water trine.
You are.
What's your moon?
Taurus.
Okay,
Oh
so
my
a lot of
gosh.
receptive energy. I can feel that in you, definitely.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint, though. Especially the next, all of the 2020.
2020.
But March is coming in hot.
Yeah. What house is your sun in Pisces?
4th.
Oh.
So it's in a water sun and a water
And
house.
it's
So you're-
conjunct Jupiter.
So you're a grand trine in the water houses. Look at her. That's why she's so put together with all that water. She's like embodying harmony, the harmony of all that water. That's not an easy. Yeah, that's not normal.
I feel
It's
it.
special. You're aligned. You've got all that water, which can be really hard, but she's got it. Her ascendant moon and sun are all in the water houses.
Your moon's in the water? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, your moon's in Taurus.
Yeah.
Well,
How are you a grand trine? in
my
water?
moon is in the 6th house.
Okay, so it's in the Earth house. So
What's
what's
your
the
grand
other
trine?
planet in
Yeah.
your trine?
The other planet is it Neptune?
Okay.
It's Neptune.
So wow.
So your sun and Neptune, and what's the other arm of the trine?
The ascendant.
I just guessed them.
Yeah, I'm looking at my own chart, not seeing it right now.
Okay. She can see it.
Let me see.
She'll know.
Can you tell me quickly again what the trine is?
So a trine is 120 degrees between each. It's all in the same. So there are 4 elements so earth, fire, air, and water. And there are 3 signs in each element. So there are 3 water signs, 3 earth signs, 3 air signs, and 3 fire signs. And so a trine, they're all on the wheel of 360. They represent, they trine each other, which means their degree between each of the water signs is 120 degrees to make 360. So it's a
really,
harmonious
it looks
angle.
just like a triangle on the
Yes.
chart. Okay.
Yes.
So
With 120, it's a triangle with 120 degree angles.
But they don't tell you the angles on the chart, do they?
No,
and your Uranus, but it's really
no, they don't. But what they do is they give you the degrees.
That'll be real wide.
So if you look at a planet, it has a number by it.
I remember seeing it at some point.
So you can
Maybe
see
I
the
was
degrees,
Well,
and you
it's-
can see the sign. So if it's Aquarius at 10 degrees, and if it's Libra at 10 degrees, then you know they're at the same, they're at that trine degree.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Kind of. It's a
Yeah.
learning curve.
Yeah,
Some astrologers would
yeah.
say no.
So a square is 90 degrees.
People will have squares in their chart.
hmm
Yeah.
And a square is not the same element. It's 4 signs that are in the opposite elements. So in the chart, it forms a square. Or if it's just one square, it'll be one right angle in a chart. And that means it's challenging. It's
I
not
was gonna say, what does that say
harmonious.
about their personality?
It's not a harmonious
Can I
angle.
put your chart
Yeah.
up to show what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Because Laura has a grand water trine.
I have a gray water trine.
Yeah. Hers is a little bit loose, but I just want to show.
I have a lot in my chart, but
You have you do.
do you have my chart in there? Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions about that while she's looking that up? No.
So this, hold on, this is really slow, so hang on.
Oh yeah, Jamie, you'll be able to see it drawn online.
This is what a grand water trine looks like. Hold on. It's gonna come up. This triangle,
triangle?
is a grand water trine, and Laura has a kite to her sun Mercury.
See how it makes
So-
a kite?
This is the trine, this is the kite.
Oh, wow.
What does the kite represent?
So the kite helps you work the energy of the trine. A grand trine can sometimes when you have that kind of harmony, things can sort of slip through your fingers because it flows with so much ease. So it gives you, which it's really beautiful because she's got this water trine with a kite to Capricorn, which is just a force.
The kite, wherever the point of the kite is of a grand trine, shows you the probable way that you're going to work that energy in your life. And my trine kite points to my sun in Capricorn in the 10th house of work and career.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a water trine, which is healing and intuitive and feminine and psychic and creative, which is all these things that are me. And I am, I have companies and I work all the time. I mean, I express all that through work.
And it's conjunct Mercury.
Absolutely. So
And
here I am
it's
speaking
10th
in front
house,
of
yeah.
people.
So it's like you do it you help in a very public way too.
So to help you learn, what if the kite was the polar opposite part of the chart? So what if the kite was in the 4th house, and it would have to switch, but just pretend like the kite's in the 4th house. Then it would be I would guesstimate that where you would express all that would be through your family, through your home life, through your children. Maybe I would have not ever had a job. Maybe I would have really just wanted a family. Or what if I were a foster mother? A grand trine just has so much to give. Maybe I fostered a lot of animals. Maybe there's all kinds of things, but it would have been less about career and more about a home environment or a spiritual family environment. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting. And then, Jamie, you asked about squares. See the red, and I like this chart because it just shows you blue is typically, if the lines are blue, it's saying it's a trine or a harmonious angle. And then the squares are the red, which are more 90 degrees. And it's not exactly 90 or 120. It's within, and I cannot think of this word. What is it when it's within? The orb.
Yeah. The orb.
Explain to them what an orb. Does everybody know what an orb is?
No.
Your orb is the orb is the degree essentially. As long as time has existed, astrologers will differ on their orb opinions. Most people say when you're dealing with a luminary, you can go as wide as a 10-degree orb, or with the nodes. I work with 10 degrees with the nodes. With other planets, most do like 3 to 4, really.
So let me give you an example of what she's saying. So if a trine is 120 degrees, what if the planets are 115 degrees? That's within 10 degrees, so it's considered a trine.
With
That
the-
is an
yeah,
orb. With
yeah.
a luminary, when she says a luminary, she means a sun and or a moon. Okay, so a luminary typically will give it a bigger orb because it's more powerful
Or a
and it's
node.
more personal, or a node.
Or no.
But astrologers have different, like some say, well, I only do 3 degrees on these planets and I do 5 degrees on these planets to say if it's a trine or not. But does that make sense? Yeah.
And
Do you know-
your degrees are like when you look at the chart, you've got like, for example, Laura's got a 28 degree, 29 degree. So with her sun, anything that goes out to 29, 10 degrees out from that would be applicable, in my opinion.
What were you gonna say?
Do you know what this site goes by? The orb size?
I don't.
They,
Do you?
I get a little frustrated with Astrodinas because they will do a lot based on, they'll do out of sign aspects, which can be a little bit confusing. I don't know, they're very mathematical, but I don't actually know what their exact, they go, I know they're wide though. They go a lot wider than some astrologers would, but I don't know exactly.
There's a lot of preference.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you how preference can happen. When she's talking about if it's in sign or not, my sun is 28 degrees, so they're 30 degrees in each sign, so I'm right at the end.
Right.
So what if, my ascendant was in Taurus, but it's still kind of in a square, but it's in Taurus because the degree, do you see what I'm saying? Like, do you call it a square if it's Taurus and Capricorn? Because those are actually both signs that are harmonious.
For example, her sun, based on this, is squaring her moon, but they're both earth signs. So technically by sign, it would not qualify as a square, but they're doing it mathematically by orb. So it's still, because it's in a 10-degree orb, is being read as a square. I personally would not read that as a square. Other astrologers might.
So it's all about preference, or if you're an astrologer or you do, and so you guys are professional astrologers, or are you? You know a lot about it.
I've been studying for a while. But
Okay.
I'm
But, I call it doing research. Like if I've sat in front of tons of people and I start to realize, my experience when I ask somebody, how does this affect you? And they tell me, I'm like, I've seen 20 people with that. And every time they say this, I'm kind of leaning towards always interpreting this way. But I ask people. So for yourself, the more you learn is to look at your chart and go, does it feel like my sun squares my moon? Does it feel like, what does it feel like to you? Because this isn't, I don't do astrology, and I know Ashley doesn't either. Like, you learn it, the facts, but then you see what intuition tells you is the truth.
Right.
Because this is not an exact, some astrologers say, yeah, it is an exact science. I'm like, well, the data is exact. How you interpret the data is not exact. It's a matter of personal preference. And there are lots of systems that people use. There are lots of other ways to to throw a chart. So it's more about what do you feel. It's like tarot to me. I mean, you can learn what the symbols mean in certain circles, but then what does it feel like when it resonates with other cards? Like it depends on who's reading it. It depends on who's receiving the reading.
Right.
Well, and I think always asking your client is,
I ask mine
always,
a lot.
I ask a lot of questions. I know Laura does too, and sometimes I'm like, what does this feel like to you? Like, this is what this looks like astrologically. What does it feel like to you?
Yeah. So that's how I suggest you guys get. It's the way you can do self-work with your chart. It's just discovering oh, like if you're new to it, is that what kind of angle are those two things? Well, what do those two things mean? Well, what does that feel like to me? Where do I think that's happened in my life? And then you start to, you're having conversations with yourself to become more conscious about your challenges, your attributes, and things like that. And you can do that for the rest of your life. You can work on your chart. And it can change. Like, in other words, how this expressed in my life when I was 21 and how this expresses in my life now, I am very proud to say that a lot of these energies, I feel as if I have become really conscious of them. I've become more and more conscious about where they leak into my life, so I can harness them and be more of a governor of them. And also be more conscious of their impact within my life and with other people. And that's just through this. I mean, look at that. I was a hot mess. This is a hot mess.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on.
It is a lot.
I was a hot mess. And that's okay, but I really had to get conscious of this and learn, wow, if I have a sun in the 10th house in Capricorn, that's a lot. I mean, I had astrologers go, what do you want to do? Because you can do anything. And I was angry and, doing all this other stuff. And I had to stop and go, I want to use this energy. I want to believe in this energy. I'm going to allow this energy. And we all have those great moments in our charts. Any questions or about anything? Where are we? Is it 8?
We're a little over.
Seriously, any questions? No?
So the best way, it seems like even collectively, the energy that's here for us is rest. Well, at least for me, for sure. But like what
Emotions.
is it?
Emotions are very prevalent. Emotions are very abundant. Emotions are right at the surface.
And so is it, even with this emotional confusion that we're all feeling in these different areas, what is the awareness to have with that other than we are having an emotional confusion? Like,
How do you,
is there,
what's the there's a yin and a yang with all this.
what's the gift or the lesson or the...
So find the positive, like lean into the positive and say, I need to have a stronger and more disciplined spiritual practice. I need to understand, I need to give myself time to be creative. I need to rest. I need to lean into the feminine energy in this world of rest, nurturing. You have something?
Daydream a little. Just daydream a little. It's Pisces.
So it feels like an observance in a way. So like
Yes.
I keep thinking.
I love that word.
Okay. It's an observance.
It's also, she said it earlier, receiving.
Right.
It's feminine, it's very receptive.
Mm-hmm.
It's not doing anything, it's receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And not with, Danielle, oh my God, I need to receive something today between 10 and 11. And then I need to go get all this done. Okay. It's not like that.
But it is this, thank you for this coffee and breakfast that you want to make me every day. Thank you for thinking of me in dinner or whatever, like,
yeah,
and allowing
and
myself to really
at 5
receive
o'clock
that.
I'm hot for you. At 8 o'clock I hate you. At 9 o'clock I'm annoyed by you. By 12 p.m. noon, I'm just confused. By 2 p.m. I'm apathetic.
Just allow it.
And all of that is, here's a good, I just got an image. So feminine energy, have you ever heard of, and I say this a lot, the masculine energy is the vessel. And the feminine energy is all the creation and the fluid and needs the container of the masculine energy. So here's what I would suggest. Give yourselves a container. The container doesn't do anything to the stuff inside. It doesn't judge it. It doesn't tell it what it needs to be. It doesn't tell it what it needs to do. It gives it a safe containment. So give yourself a container and then love whatever's going on the inside. Does that make sense? So the container is the rest. The container is the acceptance. The container is a safe space to be however you need to be. The container is forgiveness. For the container, a masculine energy contains the feminine, and I mean it in a supportive way, not in a controlling way. It doesn't control it, it supports it, and it doesn't judge it. So I don't judge the fact, Danielle masculine, I don't judge the fact that you seem a little crazy right now. Do you hear the negative masculine in how you're judging? That's negative masculine, by the way. So turn it to positive masculine. That's what, there's so much feminine. There's so much feminine. We need to all be like, are we judging? Can we forgive? You know, does that make sense? When you hear yourself saying, I should and be, I should, that's negative masculine.
And don't make any major decisions.
No.
Awesome.
I love that you're doing this spontaneous, okay, I'll go on a trip and I'll let people, that's good. Yeah. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you spending time with us. I enjoy doing that.
And so it's every first Wednesday of the month.
I have officially decided that this is now my AA group. I've never been in AA, but it's my Astrology's Anonymous. I feel so supported. Yeah, I feel like, oh my God, I need this. I will not, as a Capricorn, I'm putting it on my calendar so that I will not work through it. I will not schedule anything. I love it.
I love the name Astrology Anonymous. We haven't called it our AA group. That's really clever.
And what's the Facebook Live?
How did it go?
Can you sign off?
It's Ashburn.
Oh, am I saying goodbye?
Say goodbye to them.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And
That's me.
we'll be back next. What day are we back?
April 1st.
We're back April 1st.
We're back April 1st, and we really appreciate
No joke.
No joke. Thanks.